healing didn't just happen through medicine, but through energy, consciousness, and the quantum field itself. In this episode, I'm joined by quantum healer Steve Noack, whose near-death experience as a child set him on a path to explore how energy, intention, and the deeper fabric of reality may hold powerful keys to healing. If you've ever wondered how consciousness and the quantum world might connect to our ability to heal, this conversation will open your mind to some fascinating possibilities. Welcome to Dial Up Intuition, a podcast that invites you to awaken and expand your intuition. I'm your host, Kat Sanders. I was a radio and television broadcaster before a massive brain hemorrhage caused me to flatline. That life-changing event led to a beautiful near-death experience, and when I came back, I returned with some profound truths and the ability to connect with the other side. In this podcast, we'll explore these truths and learn how to strengthen your intuition and intuitive gifts. You'll hear conversations with remarkable intuitives who'll share how their gifts came alive, evolved, and became part of their daily lives. So whether you're just beginning your intuitive journey or you're ready to go deeper, this is your space to be inspired, guided, and reminded that your intuitive gift was always within you. So let's begin and dial up our intuition together. Hello, I have a fascinating guest for you today. His name is Steve Noack. He has an incredible story and a precious gift of healing that we're going to talk about today. So let me go ahead and introduce him to you. At 4 years old, Steve was struck by a motor vehicle, and he had an incredible near-death experience. And I'm going to let him tell you about that experience and what he learned then and how those lessons started making sense to him even more as he got older, especially after some subsequent experiences he had later. Now, Steve has been both a speaker and a healer at conferences for the International Association of Near-Death Studies in North Carolina, Phoenix, and the Heart Center. He's also been a guest on radio programs such as Coast to Coast Radio and Horsefly Chronicles. Now, Steve shares his gifts with clients around the world with the hope that through sharing his gift, people are able to experience their own unique potential to heal. So welcome, Steve. I am so glad that you're here on my podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
I'm just glad you're here, and I've got so many questions for you. So let's start, if you would. Can you just share a little bit about your near-death experience?
Absolutely. So I was 4 years old. I was on a big wheel. It's important to understand that I wasn't like this all my life. It took a couple of years. Like, I knew something had happened monumental. Nobody could tell me what. And it took a couple of years before the memories and everything came back in. And I learned very quickly not to talk about it. And it made me feel shameful. And I hid it for many years. And 2008 was the breaker open. But I will start with the near-death experience. So I was across the street from my house. I was playing. I was on a big wheel, very low plastic tricycle to the ground. My brother comes to the edge of the road from across the street where we lived, and he says, it's time to come home. We were going to the mall that day, I believe he said, and naturally I just got excited. And I was at the top of this sloped driveway, and I went down the driveway between the parked cars that were on the edge of the street, and there was a car coming. And the woman just happened to be drinking as well, so she wasn't very aware at the moment. And so she struck me and actually kept going because she didn't know she hit me. And so she kept going probably another 25, 30 feet. I was underneath the car at this point. The only thing that saved me was the big wheel getting wedged in the back tire. And for me, it's like a blur. And instantly, and these are when all the memories start to come back many years since then, but I'm above my body, looking at myself, and I see my eyes roll in the back of my head. And then it's like the end of a movie where it just fades to black. But then it opens again. And when it opens, I'm sitting on someone's lap, and I'm leaning, and my head's kind of down and my eyes are closed. And that's my first recollection of coming to. And I opened my eyes, and the very first thing I noticed was like hair that was almost touching the ground, kind of like silverish white, and the bottom of a robe. Like I didn't see any feet, just hair and a robe. And it was kind of, I'm wondering what happened. It's kind of confusing. And I'm still assuming I'm sitting on a person. And so when I turn to ask this person what happened, it's actually a hooded figure of light. And they have no face. There's only light where their face should be. And I pause for a second. And then the being says, Stephen, put your head down. You're in an accident. Everything's going to be all right. And I put my head down on this being's chest and I'm just kind of staring in their face. And all of a sudden I'm feeling myself kind of pulled and I'm almost like getting stretched. And it's strange, but it's a feeling of like not traveling from point A to point B, but being in both places. And so I was kind of stretched and I went into this white light for a little bit and this scene shows up in front of me. It just materializes. And it's like the most perfect nature scene. Uh, and I love nature, but I could not tell you I've ever seen anything to compare to this. I start to see flowers, meadows, mountains, rivers, paths, silhouettes of people all around. And the first thing I noticed is the flowers. And there was something about them and just the vibrancy. And what I can tell people to compare it to, it's like watching a glass tube television for 50 years and then getting a high definition television. It was like everything was so alive. There was no filter. So I noticed the flowers are like vibrating like they're alive, and the colors were just so beautiful. Like I haven't seen colors like that still today. They were their own being in a way, and they were moving through the flowers, and so it was like I'm looking around and just taking this in as a 4 year old. This being's kind of standing next to me now, and I'm starting to get the sense that this place is pretty awesome. And so I'm looking at these figures that are dancing around and they're playing. And I noticed they're playing and I picked that up. And I noticed this elderly man and this little girl, and I'm not sure who they were. Some people ask me that. They were playing off to my left. And the little girl lets out a laugh and it just kind of passes through the atmosphere. And it touched me in the center of my chest. And it was like all of a sudden I became love and I knew I was home. And there was like some type of download left with me. And I knew later from the experience that you had to be the frequency or the energy of love to even manifest and be in that place, or you wouldn't be able to. So pain, suffering, hate, it wasn't that it didn't exist there, it couldn't. It was so pure. And I got that like instant download. I knew I was home. Like I'm home. This is it. This is where I came from. This is where I will return to, as well as everything. And in between, there's a journey. And that was the information I got from that touch. It was like, and so when I expressed that I wanted to stay to this being, because it felt like the greatest carnival I had ever been to, like still to this day, you know, it was the greatest celebration.
Right.
And when I expressed I wanted to stay, that's when the being said, it's not your time. We have other things to show you. And it was like a Broadway curtain. It was like this scene was painted on a Broadway curtain and somebody just pulled the curtain away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm standing in this type of night room. It was like a night sky without stars, but it's dimly lit. I could still see, I suppose, with whatever eyes I had, if I had eyes. But I'm just standing there in this room, and the being's gone. The being's not with me. And right away, I noticed these lines start to form in front of me, and they're going straight down, and there's lines going across, and it looks like kind of like a grid or a waffle pattern. And they're bluish white. And I have a thought, and I think, what's this? And then I'm answered by the voice of this being. And the being says, this is the quantum field. This connects all living beings together as one.
And
And
you're
then
just
that,
you're just a little 4-year old, but you're seeing these incredible things and you're being able to understand them because it's being told to you, but not audibly, just in your mind. Am I
Yeah.
understanding that?
Yeah, I was there subconsciously for many years, and I would have so after the experience, but I'll tell you a few more things about the experience. But
Sure,
after the
sure, please do.
experience, my parents started bringing me to the eye doctors because I was having like my eyes would scramble and I was having visions and I didn't realize it. I thought it was just my imagination, but I would have this one particular vision and I drew it and everything of this line that went through like all the people on planet Earth. It went through the center of their chest. It connected all of them, but some were lit up and some were not lit. It was like they were turned off or they were disconnected or something like that.
Oh,
I didn't figure that vision out until many years later. I'm like, that's why I was having it. So I have this being tells me this is the quantum field. This connects all living beings together as one. That fades away. And the next thing I notice is just something glowing like up to my left. And it looks like a credit card and it has a missing corner and it has circuits on it like you would see a computer motherboard or a computer thing. And I think, what's this? And that's when I'm answered. This is your divine blueprint. This is the original image that you were made in. Everyone has one. And that's, and so they're giving me a lot in a short amount of sentences, which is totally them, because I'd figure that out later as well. They give me this to unpack much later. So this is the original image you were made in. Every human being possesses one. This fades away. The next thing I see is just this column of light kind of drop down in front of me. And naturally, what's this? And then that's when I'm answered. This is you when you enter the world, and you'll spend your energy to have an experience with material reality. As this being is saying, spend your energy, I see this energy kind of leave the column of this light and go out to what looks like a screen almost. It's like a screen, and there's cords being extended from this light into the screen, and the being elaborates and tells me that your thoughts and experiences will be recorded in this screen for later review. This is like a life review, but yours won't take place now. You'll have yours while you're alive, and you won't need to die to go back to heaven. And that was like the packet of information. And when the being says screen, I'm kind of looking. I don't know how, focusing to try to see what's at the end of these cords, and it just looks like little TV sets, and some were filled in with a picture, and some were blank. And so there was those a lot of blank spots, and I notice up above that there's beings, uh, like bluish, whitish, up above, and whether they were the reviewers, whatever they were doing, but they were there. And so this scene, after this being explains the life review, you won't have to have yours now, and kind of tells me um, what they told me. It kind of just fades. And then the next thing I see is this triangle approaching me. And it's just coming closer, closer, closer. And it stops. And it has a tip, like a point or a dot on each tip, and one larger one in the middle. And each tip is connected to the center. And they're kind of like powering the center almost. And that's when I have the thought, naturally, what's this? And I'm answered that this is Father, Mother, Son. Make these three one. That's it about the Trinity. Um, and later would discover and read so much about the Trinity and the solar Trinity in Egypt and all these other things that fascinated me. Um, so that fades away. And I wake up a couple days later with toys, and I still have the newspaper clippings. And I know something happened. Something weird happened because I'm asking my parents, kind of like, what happened? And they're telling me I was in an accident, and it just didn't feel right. Like it was incomplete in a way.
did
So that
you ever
emotional
share
charge
with
was
your
with me.
I'm sorry, did you ever share with your parents some of
I
these
did.
images that you saw?
Yeah, I did once the memories started to come back, and that's why they were bringing me to the eye doctor because I was having like visions and I couldn't control it and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and so my vision would scramble. So at about 10, 11, that's when the memories of sitting with this being come in, the memories of what we talked about. However, I didn't know what it meant, so I tried to talk to my parents. I tried to talk to whoever I can talk to, and I learned really quickly. It just made me feel more awkward and like a black sheep. Now, my parents didn't go to church, they never brought us to church. So I learned to keep it to myself and not to talk about it, for that reason alone.
Right,
And I told myself growing up that this is just something that happens when you die. It's just something you experience when you die. Maybe some people have it, maybe some people don't, but I don't know what it meant. So it doesn't really do me any good to talk about it or think about it.
right. And when did you find out that it had some kind of a meaning that you could actually work with? How old were you and how did that get revealed?
Yeah, I was 40. And it was
Okay.
about 33, almost 33 years to the year exact time later. It was 2008. By this time, I had been run over by a car. I had flipped a car over at 80 miles an hour 5 times, crashed 2 motorcycles, played football, played basketball. I was in a lot of pain. Um,
You and
I
cars
didn't,
don't get along.
no, no, now we do. Now we do. I know what a car can do and what can't do. So, um, I was in a lot of pain and didn't want to be here anymore. And I thought if there was a God, I don't think God likes me because I never got the other piece of the puzzle. And so in 2008, I'm going to have elbow surgery just to clean up scar tissue in my elbow, which was a frequent thing for me. And I go in there and I sit down and I get changed and I get my gown on and I hadn't had medication yet. And I start to feel extreme panic. And I never had panic, I never had anxiety. I start to feel this enormous panic. And I went to get up, and it was like it wasn't even me. I just went to get up, and I said, I got to get out of here. And then as soon as I tried to do that, someone spoke to me, and I recognized who it was. And they said, Stephen, put your head down. Everything's going to be all right. And then that was it. I lost all bearing of reality because it had suddenly become real. I was awake. This was no longer some far off thing that I could avoid. That being just spoke to me clear as day. And it sent shivers and chills down me. And as soon as I recognized and realized, holy blank, that's the being from when I was 4, because it was instant. It was like somebody hit rewind on a tape reel behind my eyes. And it was like boom, 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 boom. And these surges along with these memories just shooting through me. Um, this love started in the center of my chest, and it felt exactly like I was back in that place,
Right.
and it sat me down. That's how calming it was. It went all the way around my body. It was warm. uh, I was there for a good 10, 15 minutes and trying to calm down, going, what was that? I had to go in and have the surgery, so I went in and had it. Couple days later, I'm waking up at night and there's balls of light in my room. So that was kind of the start of the reemergence of being contacted again to teach me what I saw and how to apply it to not only healing myself and rewiring my nervous system, but to help others heal. And so these balls of light, and I'm going through the motions. Now, mind you, I'm a skeptic. I was normal. I was a retail store manager when this started again. And I thought, well, that just happens when you die. Okay. So I was always extra sensitive. I would always, have different thoughts than people and a lot of emotional input. I numbed myself. I had overdoses and addiction. So when these beings contacted me, it was like, all right, it's either I find God or I don't think I'm going to be here anymore type of
Right.
deal with all the pain I had in my body. So I'm just
Right.
getting up to go to work. Next few days, there's balls of light, and I'm turning on the lamps, and I'm like, what is this? What is this? And it looks like a plasma ball of light that would just phase in, phase out. Sometimes it would be there, sometimes it wouldn't. It started with one and grew to like a couple. And you can only stay up till 3 or 4 in the morning so long. You have to go to bed, you have to go to work. And so I was trying to kind of keep my mind in check, but I knew something was happening from that being speaking to me because there was an energy in me that I kind of couldn't shut off. It was almost like being a kid on Christmas morning and you can't shut it down.
Right.
And it was just going on its own. And so I go to work and I'm starting to hear a lot of conversation in my mind, and it wasn't my voice. And so slowly I learn, I go through motions, I figure out it's telepathy. Now, I went through a lot of motions to convince myself I wasn't crazy. And that's the only reason why I did it, certain things and clues and hints when people would come in and when they'd leave. And so it progressed to seeing energies. It progressed to hearing human spirits and seeing human and non-human entities and things like that. And then that's when I had one of the bigger breakthroughs was I was trying to really hold myself together, just be a dad, go to work, stay sane. This stuff is not happening. Yeah, I was keeping a notebook so that I could read it to myself to ground myself in reality. So I'm driving home and I'm beating myself up, and this was the big moment. And I'm now hearing human spirits and other things, and I'm seeing them like kind of pass by me and stuff, and I'm starting to get that expanse of it. It was like somebody hit a light switch or something, and I was suddenly perceiving beyond my normal perception. And so I'm driving home and I'm beating myself up and I'm being really hard on myself and still having a lot of pain, still struggling. And that's when this voice comes in to my right. And I was trying to avoid any of that for the moment. But this voice starts telling me how beautiful I am and how loved I am and all these people that love me. And I'm like, this is weird. This is different. And it was crystal clear. And it was like it was my voice, but it wasn't my voice. And that's when I said, who are you? And one answer, I am. And mind you, I've never heard this phrase in my life, never went to church. So I am. And then I say, I am who? And then the voice says, I am. And then I say, I heard you the first time. I am who? And then the third one, it was just, I am. And it was bam. It was a feeling of simultaneously feeling every emotion I had ever had and every memory I had ever experienced. Bam, bam, bam. There goes the tape reel again. I felt them, but at the same time, but separately. And that's the only way I can describe it. I was feeling them individually, but it was happening at the same time. And instantly I started bawling. I couldn't even control it. I didn't even think of anything. It was just boom, boom, tears, tears. I pulled the car over. I calmed down. Takes a little while. I don't know what happened to me, but I go home and I'm like, I am. And then I find all these references. So I go and I pick up a Bible and I pick up this book and this book and this book. And now my family's getting a little, all right, what's going on with him? Um, so that was one of the bigger experiences. And as that happened, I had no pain in my body. It was gone. And then there were other experiences where I would see these rainbow angelic beings and were contacting me to teach me about the law of polarity and how to rewire my nervous system so that it processed pain and grounded it out instead of allowed it to reach my cells. And that was the big game changer when I reversed and rewired the polarity in my body. And they taught me about 0 point energy, and just kind of how electricity works. And I learned what I had seen. So as they were contacting me, the very first thing they talked about was the Trinity. And this was a visitation where I saw him in the corner of my room. What is that? And I wasn't even sure there was anything there. And they start speaking to me and they start telling me that you need to start believing that you are the image of a creator you were made in, that you are your divine blueprint.
You know,
Because
it took
this,
you
yeah,
all that time. You're 4 years old. They tell you basically you're going back because you have something special to do. And you waste all this time just trying to be human because that's what we do. It is what we do is we are here just trying to get by in life.
yeah,
And they keep coming back and going, but look at this, but look at this, but this is
yeah,
what it means. And you go through all these experiences and you finally let yourself love, and they're telling you you are loved, you are good, you are wonderful. And it takes all that time before they finally bonk you on the head and go, look, you're special, you're here to do something special.
yeah.
And it is a lesson to us that we need to all understand how special every single one of us is. And
Mm,
we all have something special to give. I don't have what you have to give, and you don't have what I have to give. Everyone has something special to give. Some of us
mm.
have to almost die or literally die for a moment to find out what it is. But look what you had to go through. And I'm so glad you finally let that love take over. So please,
Thanks.
yeah, please go ahead and continue. But I just had to stop and say, how many times do we have to be bonked on the head? I know I did.
Oh
I
my
had to
goodness.
be, I had to have all these people from the other side showing me their living rooms and talking to me and going on before I finally said, am I seeing dead people's memories? Am I supposed to talk to these people?
Hmm.
You
And it
had to go through
terrified me.
all
Like,
of that before you
yeah, and
finally went, I have
it,
something special. Of
yeah, and it scared me for a while. And
course
I
it
tried to
did.
get a grip on reality. It took me a long time to even tell my story. I was okay with helping people heal. And how that happened was I was at work and I was the only one there, and the payroll was low. And I'm a retail store manager. I was the least worthy. Like childhood trauma, all that stuff. I was never going to allow myself to feel love again, put it that way, unless it came from some type of intelligent creator. So this woman falls down outside my store, and she's an elderly woman. She fell on the pavement and she's in pain. I see it. I go out there. Someone comes out and I say, call the EMTs. I'll be here. And I put my hand on her back, and it wasn't even like me at the time. I was a very closed person at the time. And within probably about a minute, she turns to me and she goes, I have no pain, and I'm all warm. And I felt the warm go up my arm, and I go, oh my God, I don't know what that is. I went back and I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And it was like the job had just become too much. It
Yeah.
was like I couldn't function at my job and keep my head straight while dealing with all that. Um, but the visitations helped. Like when they told me, you're the energy having the experience, you're not the experience itself. You're the one feeling your emotions, you're not the emotions themselves. Acknowledge them and honor them with love and truth. And so they were really guiding me on the path of love and truth. So I'm bringing home Bibles. My family's looking at me like I'm a little off. I'm having like these missing blocks of time where I would walk through something and then I would walk through it again. And it wasn't deja vu, like it was in succession. Like I was at the gas station and someone was standing in line, and they asked the cashier something, and then they would ask him again. And so I was like, that was really strange. And so I went out to my car and I would turn on the car, and the radio would be playing, and there would be something contest, and there was a winner on the radio. They were talking about the answer. All of a sudden, the phone would be ringing, and I already knew the answer. And so that was the day I'm like, do I have to check myself in somewhere? Instead, I went to churches. I tried to find people to talk about. I started to get downloads like that. The war in heaven was taking place in my heart for my energy. And that was like the beginning of you need to take your sovereignty back and your space and your divine authority over your reality. And so there was a lot of reprogram your subconscious mind, begin speaking to it, begin uninstalling the programs you received in root programming, and begin reinstalling better things. and
Yeah.
and so they're like, you're a divine instrument, but you're out of tune. You've been kicked around in the garage for a little while. You need to tune your thoughts to match how you feel and how you feel to match your actions. And
Right.
this, they were explaining to me, was going to restart this column of light. It was going to bring it back into being, that it was a circuit that was passing through me that I was sharing with everyone. And
Right.
that I had a responsibility to some collective out there, that light that I was serving.
Right.
So stuff like that.
Yeah. Now you do what you've told me, what you've explained is quantum healing, which is amazing. And you can literally see how it all lines up. It's almost like you're an electrician and you can see the lines where the electricity goes, which to me is amazing because, I just talk to dead people. So, your gift to me is an amazing thing. So before we run out of time, I really want to drag out of you, how do you do this? And how can somebody else that might have this gift or be able to develop this gift, how can we tap into that electric line or however it is? How do you see these things? How do you use this?
Mm. I mean, generally, when I started, I went out in nature just to find my peace, and it became thought and breath, a
Mm.
combination of thought and breath. And it was that easy. When I was breathing, there was a line of magnetic energy coming up, and they said, say thank you, say I love you, and all these things. And this began to cause spin in what's known as a torus field of my heart, and began to balance out the dark and light so that they could unify. And so I needed to begin speaking to the younger me that was wounded, that was trapped in my subconscious mind, that appeared as anxiety, fear, worry, stress, and all these other things. I needed to stop kicking them away and saying, I don't want to feel this. I need to acknowledge them with love and compassion, but also offer a truth. And I learned to, and it's so advantageous to learn how to speak to your body as if something's already finished, and don't negotiate with the biofeedback of your subconscious mind or your cellular memory. And so I'm looking to complete a signal, knowing, if you will.
So you're
And
not looking at the past, you're looking at the future and you're seeing something as healed as opposed to seeing it as damaged. Am I getting that right?
yes, I'm looking to signal to the cells of the body that something is already finished. Now, your subconscious might kick up and say, hey, no, it's not. And that's when you say, thanks for your opinion, but I already am. And so there's a thought circuit to complete that will magnetize and reverse the polarity in our body. So we can begin to have, I went searching in neuroscience and everything. I was on a quest to figure out what was happening to me. So we can cause action potentials in our body. And we have salt and potassium channels. Our body is a lot like a battery where we store charge. This allows us to release charge when we're able to acknowledge any negative neurotransmission. Thank you for what you're teaching me. I send you into the field of my heart with gratitude. I do not want you stored in my body to be rendered into my reality later. To me, that's the old program.
Right. And you go into nature. Do you use meditation? Do you fill your heart and your body with love? Do you turn to a religion? Do you turn to the Trinity, to God, to assist you at all in what you do?
Absolutely. I am. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. I love you. And I'm also anchoring my identity into all things. So I used to go in nature and say, I want to be in the trees. And now I go in there and I say, I am the trees. I am the water. And so the more I can expand and anchor myself above the things I'm doing here and the things I'm attaching identity to, the more I will be released from these attachments of identity and these ways I judge myself. And I'm aware I'm having a love story with the energy of creation itself, moment to moment, in my mind and my heart, no matter who's around. And that there's always the energy of creator behind things.
Yeah, that is awesome. The oneness that I love to talk about and that I experienced as well when I went to the other side and had my near death experience, that energy and that connection, because we are made of energy, we do connect with the trees, we do connect with those past, those currently with us in this
Yeah.
lifetime, um, everything. And so using that is what I'm understanding, using that energy almost like an electric field,
Mhm.
and healing from it by looking at it as already healed, is what you're doing, and using the love of source, God,
Yeah.
Trinity, using the love of nature, the love of
Mhm.
yourself,
Yeah. And we
seeing it
share
as
energy.
done. Yeah.
Yeah. And we share energy with people. And well, one other thing, I know we're running out of time, but they guided me to begin calling all of my energy back into the moment of now.
Ah,
This kept myself from repeating where I would go out looking to reconfigure data into truth in the past, worry about the future. So the more I did that, man, the more energy I had present to heal myself. And suddenly I'm out of pain and I'm in that love. And I like to keep that love with me. So that's why I'm accountable to that for what I create, you know?
that is wonderful. And, we spend so much time here on this planet damaging ourselves and getting angry and fighting with everything that we do. And yet, those of us who've had the opportunity to go to the other side briefly, know so much that it is all about love and energy.
Yeah, there was no
And
religion. The Trinity to me, when they came back, they're like, this is not just Father, Mother, Son. This is positive, negative, neutral. This is heaven, earth, sun. And they gave me so many different ways to look at it so I could understand it.
I love that. We try to put everything as a label here, even religion. We try to
Mm,
label absolutely everything that we have. And on that other side, it is not a label. It
mm-hmm.
is not a black and white anything. It is all one. It is
Yeah.
all love and connection and part of us. And it is so incredibly beautiful. And once you've been there and you come back, and we only get a little taste because we don't get to go all the way over, or we
Mm,
wouldn't be here talking about it. But we come back and it's like, if I could just take a little thumb drive, and show somebody what I experienced, the whole thing. I can talk about it, but I can't explain it
yeah.
in that way, because you just can't explain it in earthly words. If I could just
Yeah,
let
you
that
got to feel it.
experience,
Yeah.
yeah, you got to feel it, you got to be there.
I mean, it
But
gave me purpose. I didn't have
it,
purpose
it
before.
did.
This gave me purpose and it gave me meaning and it helped me to feel what love really was. And it wasn't something I could get from any other source other than my own
No,
source. Yeah.
you can't get it from another human being, which you wish you could. As much as I love people and love my family and all of that, it's so different.
Yeah.
It's so, that connection is so beyond what you can explain. And you got
Hmm.
such a beautiful gift out of it. I can't even, imagine, that connection and that ability to heal, except that I understand the concept of it having been there. So,
Yeah. I asked myself for years, why me? Like nobody wants to hear this. Like I would be writing all this stuff down but now I'm using it. So
now
it's
you're
like
using
wherever
it.
you are in your journey, like don't judge it, man, because you don't know how quickly it can turn. I was somebody who took pain medication, I was wrought with pain, and now I have no pain, and I don't even take ibuprofen
Wow.
because of what light and energy did for me. That spirit that's in us all, I think.
Yeah. And I wish I could just tell people, don't waste another day, not being where we are, living this way. But you can't just tell somebody that, because they have to go through their own journey
Yeah.
and understand it. And it took me a long time, even after, what I've been through. You would think that I'd be this perfect, person that understands it all and loves everything, and lives this perfect, you know, positive, wonderful life. And I don't, because
Hey,
the
I'll
world
tell you,
is
I'm still
not
human.
perfect.
I experience misalignment, but the bandwidth of it is so much less and it's processed quicker. However, when
Yeah.
I do it, I realize that I need to modulate the input before it reaches my cells. Like I'm
Right.
hyper aware of that, or I'll have pain in my body, you know?
Right. Right. Well, this has been wonderful. I am pretty much out of time now, but
Mhm.
if you have one last message you want to give to us, I would love to hear that.
I would say whatever you feel like you can't do, you can, and start like no day is too late. You have no idea how quickly love and truth can modulate you into your highest timeline and quantum leap you to have the energy to sustain it. So, whatever you're doing, just put more genuine love in it and more truth. And you're going to find your body in less pain. You're going to find your mind with less noise and disturbance. And you're going to find yourself questioning yourself less. Uh, Go and have that love story with creation, because creation is reaching out to have it with you through your heart. You don't have to exactly trust people right away. Trust creator and trust some sort of intelligent creation that's a part of us all.
Oh, that's
Um,
beautiful. That's beautiful.
Thanks. I hope that helps. But I believe everybody's worthy of love, and especially after what I've experienced and having felt that love come back for me.
Yeah.
Did you want me to
Yeah.
leave any website, or if anybody wants to get in contact?
It's exactly my next question. You intuitively knew exactly what I was going to say. They
Possibly.
would want to know how to reach you, and so they can, find out more about what you do and all that. So please, where can they reach you? What website would they find you at?
Sure. If anybody wants to reach out, I'm at Trinity, TRINITY, Quantum, QUANTUM, Health, HEALTH.com, TrinityQuantumHealth.com. And I do run groups for like people who are on budgets and stuff, where I do a monthly group where anybody can join. You can leave your camera off, no questions asked. I really do try to give back that energy that got given to me.
Steve, that you've given us some great things to think about, some really good, really helpful knowledge, and really a kind of a peek into your past and your experience that's been super, super helpful for us in just opening our minds up to the possibilities. So thank you for coming on and sharing that story with us, and helping us to understand the possibilities and strengthening what my message is about the world and the universe and where we go when our time is up. It's a beautiful place, and nothing to fear. So, again, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.